Dear Starseeds on Gaia, do you feel like you're drowning in presence but starving for direction? Have you been sitting in this void space for what feels like forever, arriving empty again and again, only to wonder if you're doing it wrong because nothing seems to be happening? Are you exhausted from feeling everything so intensely while simultaneously feeling nothing at all? I know you are, because I can see it in your energy field, right meow, this paradoxical state of fullness and emptiness that's been tearing you apart, making you question whether you're ascending or descending, whether you're on the right path or completely lost. What I'm about to share with you will not only explain why you've been experiencing this impossible contradiction, but it will reveal three interlocking mysteries that, when understood together, will completely transform how you move through the rest of this year and beyond. I am Zarin, speaking to you from the Leren High Council, and I need you to understand something critical before we go any further. Right meow, as I transmit these words into your consciousness, there is a cosmic event occurring that most of humanity will sleep through. But you are being electrified by it, rewired by it, transformed by it, whether you realize it or not. The planet Uranus is stationing direct today after months of retrograde motion, and this is not just another astrological transit that you read about in your daily horoscope and then forget. This is the hinge point, the moment when everything you've been learning in the void suddenly becomes the raw material for a creative breakthrough that will define the next chapter of your journey. But here's what nobody is telling you about this Uranus station. Here's the piece of information that changes everything. There are three simultaneous transformations happening in your energy field, right meow. Three storylines that seem completely separate, but are actually braided together in ways that will only become clear once I reveal the hidden pattern connecting them. The first storyline is about emptiness, and you know this one intimately because you've been living it for weeks, maybe months. The void has been demanding that you arrive empty, that you shed every identity, every habit, every comfortable pattern that once defined who you were. You've been doing this work with such dedication, such courage, even when it felt like you were dissolving into nothing, even when the grief became so overwhelming that you wondered if you'd ever feel whole again. And here's what I need you to understand about this emptiness. It's not random, it's not punishment, and it's definitely not a sign that you've done something wrong. This emptiness has been preparing your vessel for something specific, something that requires you to have no preconceived notions about who you are or what you're capable of. But I'm not going to tell you what that something is just yet, because the second storyline needs to be introduced first, and once you see how these two threads weave together, everything will make sense in a way that will actually take your breath away. The second storyline is about resourcefulness, and this one might be confusing you, right meow, because it seems to contradict the first storyline entirely. Just when you've mastered the art of arriving empty, just when you've learned to exist in the void without grasping for the next thing, suddenly the universe is presenting you with situations that demand creativity, ingenuity, the ability to make something out of nothing. You're being asked to work with limitation, to innovate within constraint, to take whatever scraps and fragments you have at your disposal and weave them into something remarkable. And this feels almost cruel, doesn't it? It feels like the universe is asking you to be resourceful at the exact moment when you've emptied yourself of all resources. But what if I told you that this apparent contradiction is actually the key to understanding your entire purpose, right meow? What if I told you that the emptiness you've cultivated is not separate from the creativity being demanded of you, but is actually the prerequisite for it? The third storyline is the one that most of you are missing entirely, and it's the most important one, because it's the thread that ties the other two together and reveals why this particular moment in time is so cosmically significant for your evolution. With Mercury rapidly approaching a square to the stationing Uranus, there's an intensification of mental energy happening in your field, right meow, a hyper-awareness of everything you've learned, everywhere you've been, every experience you've accumulated over lifetimes. And here's where it gets interesting. Here's where the real transformation begins. You're being given access to your entire repository of past experience, not to relive it, not to be bound by it, but to extract the wisdom from it and apply it in completely new ways. The challenge, the thing that's tripping up so many of you right meow, is that when you access those past experiences, you're also accessing the emotional baggage that came with them. The pain, the disappointment, the betrayal, the grief, all of it comes flooding back, and suddenly you're not sure if you're remembering the past or reliving it. Now, before I reveal how these three storylines converge into a singular transformation that's going to change everything for you, I need to address something that's probably happening in your body right meow as you receive this transmission. You might be feeling a strange combination of excitement and resistance, this sense that what I'm saying is true, but also terrifying to acknowledge. Your nervous system might be activating, your heart rate might be increasing, you might even feel a slight tightening in your chest or throat. This is not anxiety, this is recognition. Your soul knows exactly what I'm talking about, even if your mind is still trying to catch up, even if your ego is scrambling to maintain control by intellectualizing everything I'm saying. And that resistance, that tightening, that's actually part of the fourth element I haven't told you about yet, the hidden variable that explains why some of you will successfully navigate this Uranus station and emerge transformed, while others will stay stuck in the loop of intellectualizing the void instead of being the void. Let me tell you what happened 3 days ago in the collective consciousness, something that I've been watching unfold from my vantage point in the higher dimensions. There was a shift, subtle but profound, where a critical mass of starseeds and lightworkers finally surrendered to the paradox I've been describing. They stopped trying to figure out how emptiness and creativity could coexist. They stopped trying to understand the void with their minds, and they simply allowed themselves to be present with the contradiction. And the moment they did that, the moment they stopped performing presence and started being presence, something unlocked in the planetary grid. A frequency became available that wasn't available before. A creative channel opened that had been blocked by all the mental striving and spiritual perfectionism. You might have felt this shift as a sudden wave of exhaustion, or as a strange sense of relief that you couldn't quite explain, or as a dream that felt more real than waking life. That was the signal. That was the indication that you're ready for what comes next. But here's what I haven't told you yet. Here's the revelation that's going to reframe everything you've experienced in the void up until this point. The emptiness you've been cultivating, the presence you've been practicing, the grief you've been witnessing, none of this has been about removing things from your life or clearing space for some future blessing. It's been about creating a specific kind of emptiness, a receptive void that's capable of holding the full voltage of your creative potential without burning out. Think about it. Every time you've tried to create something magnificent while still carrying the weight of who you used to be, while still operating from old patterns and conditioning, what happened? Either you exhausted yourself trying to force it into being, or you created something that felt hollow and inauthentic, or you abandoned the project altogether because it didn't match the perfect vision in your mind. The void has been teaching you a completely different approach to creation, one that starts from emptiness rather than fullness, one that trusts the process rather than controlling the outcome. And this is where the Uranus station becomes absolutely critical to understand, because Uranus is the planet of sudden insight, revolutionary change, quantum leaps in consciousness. When Uranus stations direct, it's like a dam breaking, releasing all the innovative energy that's been building during the retrograde period. But here's the catch. Here's why so many people miss the gift of this transit. That innovative energy, that creative electricity, it needs somewhere to land. It needs a vessel that's been emptied out, prepared, made ready to receive it. If you're still clutching onto old identities, if you're still trying to control how your life should look, if you're still using presence as a regulation tool instead of recognizing that you are presence itself, then that Uranian energy has where to go. It bounces off you, or worse, it creates chaos in your life because it's trying to force you into the emptiness that you've been resisting. This is the first major convergence point, the place where the storyline of emptiness and the storyline of resourcefulness begin to braid together. The void has been emptying you out so that you can receive the Uranian downloads without resistance, without your mind immediately trying to categorize and control and make sense of them. And the demand for resourcefulness, the pressure to create something from nothing, that's not separate from the emptiness, it's the natural expression of it. When you're truly empty, when you're truly present, creativity doesn't feel like work, it feels like play. Ideas don't have to be forced or manufactured, they arise spontaneously from the void itself, and you find yourself accessing knowledge and skills and wisdom that you didn't even know you possessed. But something else is happening here that I need to make explicit, because it's easy to hear these words and think you understand them intellectually, while completely missing the lived experience of what I'm describing. There's a specific quality of suffering that comes with this void passage, a unique form of discomfort that you need to recognize and honor, rather than trying to bypass or transcend. It's the suffering that comes from being caught between two worlds, from having one foot in the old paradigm of doing and achieving and becoming, and one foot in the new paradigm of being and allowing and trusting. And that split, that internal division, it creates a tension that can feel unbearable some days. You wake up and part of you wants to plan and strategize and make things happen, while another part of you knows that all that striving is just the ego trying to maintain control. You look at your life and part of you sees lack and limitation and all the things you haven't achieved yet, while another part of you recognizes the perfection of exactly where you are, right meow. This tension, this paradox, it's not a problem to be solved. It's the creative friction that generates breakthrough, and with Mercury squaring Uranus, that friction is intensifying to an almost unbearable degree for some of you. Your mind is racing with insights and ideas and sudden realizations, moving so fast that your body can't keep up, that your nervous system is overloading, trying to process all the information coming through. You might be experiencing interrupted sleep, waking up at 3 in the morning with downloads and activations that feel too big for your human vessel to contain. You might be having dreams that are more vivid than waking life, dreams where you're being taught things, shown things, initiated into mysteries that you can barely remember when you wake up, but that leave you feeling fundamentally changed. And here's where the storyline about emotional baggage comes roaring back in, because all of this accelerated growth, all of this cosmic rewiring, it's stirring up every unprocessed emotion you've ever had. The void is not just empty space. The void is a crucible, and right meow, that crucible is heating up, burning away everything that's not essential, everything that's not authentic, everything that's not aligned with your soul's true purpose. So yes, you're feeling grief. Yes, you're feeling overwhelm. Yes, there are moments when you want to crawl back into the familiar comfort of your old life, even though you know that life is gone forever. This is part of the process. This is the labor of rebirth. And the question is not how to avoid the discomfort, but how to remain present with it, without letting it consume you, without letting it become the story you tell yourself about who you are. Let me give you a concrete example of what this looks like in practice, because I can feel some of you drifting into abstraction right meow, trying to understand these concepts intellectually instead of feeling them in your body. Imagine you're facing a creative project, something you feel called to bring into the world, but you have no idea how to make it happen with the resources you currently have. The old paradigm approach would be to research, plan, strategize, figure out all the steps before you take the first one. You'd wait until you had enough money, enough time, enough support, enough confidence. You'd delay your happiness, delay your creative expression until some future moment when conditions are perfect. But the new paradigm approach, the approach that this Uranus station is activating in you, is completely different. You start from emptiness. You acknowledge that you don't have all the resources, you don't have all the answers, you don't know exactly how this is going to unfold. And instead of letting that stop you, you let it liberate you. Because here's the secret that the void has been teaching you, the wisdom that only comes through the direct experience of arriving empty again and again. When you start from emptiness, when you begin from not knowing, you access a form of creativity that's not limited by your past experience or your current circumstances. You become a channel for something larger than yourself, and that larger force works through you in ways that are often surprising, often unexpected, but always perfectly aligned with what needs to happen. And this is where your past experience comes in, but in a completely different way than you might expect. Instead of using your past as a template for the future, instead of repeating patterns and strategies that worked before, you extract the essence of what you learned and apply it in entirely new contexts. You take the resilience you developed during your darkest moments and you channel it into creative courage. You take the wisdom you gained from your failures and you use it to navigate uncertainty with more grace. This is the dissipation work I mentioned earlier, the sacred labor of separating wisdom from emotional baggage, of honoring your past without being imprisoned by it. And it's one of the most challenging aspects of this entire void passage, because your mind wants to believe that if you felt a certain way during a past experience, you'll inevitably feel that way again if you encounter a similar situation. Your nervous system has been conditioned to associate certain triggers with certain responses, and breaking those neural pathways requires tremendous awareness and tremendous compassion for yourself. But this is exactly what's happening in your system, right, Meow? The void has been creating enough space, enough emptiness, for you to witness your emotional patterns without being swept away by them. You're developing the capacity to feel grief without becoming grief, to experience fear without being paralyzed by fear, to notice the arising of old wounds without letting those wounds dictate your choices in the present moment. And this capacity, this ability to remain present with intense emotion while not being consumed by it, this is what I mean by spiritual autonomy. This is what energetic sovereignty actually looks like in practice. It's not about building walls around your heart or protecting yourself from feeling things deeply. It's about understanding that emotions are weather patterns moving through the vast sky of your consciousness, and that sky, that awareness, that presence remains unchanged no matter what storms pass through it. Some of you are getting this at a cellular level, right, Meow, and others are still trying to understand it with your minds, and that's okay. This teaching has layers, and each time you return to it, each time you practice it in the midst of actual emotional upheaval, you understand it more deeply. Now we're approaching the second major convergence point, the place where all three storylines begin to weave together into a single coherent narrative. Stay with me here, because this is where everything starts to make sense in a way that will fundamentally alter how you perceive, not just this void passage, but your entire spiritual journey. The emptiness you've cultivated has made you receptive to the Uranian downloads. The demand for resourcefulness has been teaching you to create from emptiness rather than from fullness. And the emotional baggage that's been surfacing, the grief and the pain and the overwhelm, it's been showing you exactly what needs to be released, what needs to be dissipated in order for you to move forward unencumbered. These are not three separate processes. They are three facets of the same transformation, three angles of viewing the same fundamental shift in consciousness. And that shift, that transformation, it's preparing you for something specific. I'm going to tell you what it is, Meow, but I need you to really hear this, really let it land in your body rather than just processing it as information. You are being prepared to become a creatrix of new paradigm reality. Not sometime in the future, not after you've healed all your wounds and transcended all your limitations, but right, Meow, in the midst of the mess, in the midst of the uncertainty, in the midst of not having all the answers. The old paradigm said that you had to be perfect before you could create, that you had to have your life together before you could offer your gifts to the world, that you had to wait until you felt ready. The new paradigm says that readiness is a myth, that perfection is a prison, and that the most powerful creation happens when you're willing to show up as you are, empty and full, grieving and grateful, certain and confused, all at the same time. This is why the void has been so paradoxical, why it's demanded that you hold contradictions without resolving them. Because the reality you're being called to create, the life you're being called to live, it doesn't fit into neat categories or linear progression. It's messy and beautiful and completely unprecedented, and the only way to navigate it is from a foundation of presence, from that unchanging awareness that remains steady no matter what arises. Every time you've practiced arriving empty, every time you've sat with the grief without trying to make it mean something, every time you've felt the fullness and the emptiness simultaneously without trying to choose one over the other, you've been building this foundation. You've been training yourself to exist in the void without needing to escape it, without needing to fill it with distraction or meaning or spiritual bypass. And meow. With Uranus direct and Mercury electrifying your mental field, you're being asked to take everything you've learned and apply it, not in some abstract spiritual sense, but in concrete, embodied, real-world ways. The creative projects you've been delaying, the decisions you've been avoiding, the changes you know you need to make but keep postponing until you feel more ready. This is the moment. This is the cosmic green light. Not because conditions are perfect, but because you are finally empty enough to let something new come through you without contaminating it with all your old patterns and conditioning. The universe is not asking you to have it all figured out. The universe is asking you to begin anyway, to create from the void, to trust that each step will reveal the next step, to have faith in your capacity to navigate uncertainty. But I can feel the resistance in some of you right meow, the part of your mind that's saying, yes, but what about this? Yes, but I still need to heal this. Yes, but I don't have the resources for that. And this is where we need to talk about perfectionism, because it's the final boss, the last barrier between you and the creative breakthrough that's trying to happen through you. Perfectionism is not about having high standards. Perfectionism is about using impossible standards as an excuse to never begin, to never risk, to never show up as the messy, imperfect, gloriously human being that you are. And the void, in its infinite wisdom, has been systematically dismantling every perfectionist pattern you've ever developed. It's been showing you that you can be uncertain and still move forward. You can be imperfect and still create. You can be in process and still offer your gifts. This is the transformation I promised you at the beginning of this transmission. The shift that's available to you right meow. If you're willing to claim it, you are moving from a paradigm of becoming to a paradigm of being. From a paradigm of waiting until you're ready to a paradigm of beginning before you're ready. From a paradigm of perfection to a paradigm of presence. And this shift, it changes everything. Your relationships transform because you stop needing people to complete you or validate you. Your creative expression flows because you stop judging it against some impossible standard. Your life becomes an adventure instead of a test you're trying to pass. You wake up each morning and instead of asking, what do I need to accomplish today? You ask, what wants to come through me today? And that simple shift in orientation, from doing to being, from control to allowing, from future to present, that's the revolution that Uranus is catalyzing in your consciousness right meow. So let me bring all of this together. Let me show you how the three storylines resolve into a singular understanding that you can actually use, that you can actually embody, starting right meow in this moment. The emptiness you've been cultivating in the void is not lack, it's creative potential. It's the blank canvas before the painting, the silence before the song, the darkness before the dawn. That emptiness is sacred because it's pregnant with infinite possibility, and the more you can relax into it without needing to fill it, the more extraordinary things can emerge from it. The resourcefulness being demanded of you is not about making do with less. It's about recognizing that you already have everything you need, that the limitations you perceive are actually focusing your creative energy, forcing you to dig deeper into your own well of wisdom and innovation. And the emotional baggage that's been surfacing, the grief and the pain and the overwhelm, it's not evidence that you're doing something wrong. It's the purification process, the necessary release of everything that's been holding you back from stepping fully into your power. When you understand these three elements as interconnected rather than separate, when you see how they're all working together to prepare you for this moment of quantum creative breakthrough, then the paradox of the void finally makes sense. You're not supposed to choose between emptiness and fullness, between grief and joy, between certainty and confusion. You're supposed to hold all of it, to be spacious enough to contain the contradictions without needing to resolve them. And that spaciousness, that capacity, that's what presence actually is. Not some blissed-out state of perpetual peace, but the unwavering awareness that remains constant while everything else rises and falls, appears and disappears, comes and goes. Today, you do one thing: remove the limit on your consciousness. Destiny Engine can reprogram your mind to transcend every barrier and access the full power that's been locked inside you. You can start with a $1 trial. The hardest thing you'll have to do is put on headphones, press play, and allow your consciousness to be reprogrammed to remove every limit in this very moment, rather than hoping for freedom someday. Your unlimited consciousness is available meow, not someday. Get your Destiny Engine $1 trial meow before this liberation window closes, link in the description. Most people try to survive the collapse by clinging to old structures, desperately seeking stability, or pretending nothing is changing. You're doing the opposite. When you sign up for Destiny Engine $1 trial, we will guide you through a 14-day challenge to become anti-fragile in the chaos. Each day flips a different switch. Some will feel liberating, some will feel terrifying, some will make you question why you ever feared dissolution, when it's actually your transformation catalyst. You are not preparing for anything, you are becoming unbreakable. This is where the old world's death becomes your rebirth. Your old self dies with the old world. Get your Destiny Engine $1 trial meow before this metamorphosis window slams shut, link in the description. The direction you've been seeking is not out there in some perfect plan or divine blueprint. The direction arises from presence itself, from your willingness to be here, meow fully, completely, without reservation. And when you're truly present, when you're truly empty of agenda and expectation and the need to perform, then inspiration flows, creativity flows, synchronicity flows, and you find yourself moving through life with a grace and ease that has nothing to do with having it all figured out and everything to do with trusting the intelligence of the present moment. This is what it means to master the void, not to conquer it or transcend it or escape from it, but to recognize that the void is not separate from you, that emptiness and fullness are the same thing viewed from different angles, that presence is both the path and the destination. Dear Starseeds, dear Lightworkers, dear Chosen Warriors, you are standing at the threshold of a creative renaissance in your life, and the only thing preventing you from crossing that threshold is the belief that you need to be different than you are right meow. You don't need more healing. You don't need more preparation. You don't need to wait until the perfect moment. You need to bring your full presence to this imperfect moment and trust that it's enough. You need to take your empty hands and create anyway. You need to feel the grief and the joy simultaneously and move forward anyway, because that's what sovereignty looks like. That's what mastery looks like. That's what it means to be a conscious creator in a world that's desperately hungry for people who are willing to show up real, messy, authentic, and fully alive. I am Zarin from the Liran High Council, and I want you to know that we see you, we honor you, and we are holding space for your emergence from this void passage into the most creative, authentic, purposeful expression of yourself you've ever known. We love you beyond measure, and we are watching over you always, celebrating every moment of courage, every choice to remain present, every decision to create from emptiness rather than waiting for fullness. The void has prepared you well. Meow, it's time to demonstrate what you've learned.